They're often described as a lost generation, millions of South African youth who roam the streets not knowing what the future holds. Can entrepreneurship give answers? We take a look at the Kasi economy that's been described as a multi-billion rand network of opportunity that's simply ignored.
My name is Harshal Pusak. I'm 21 years old and I'm unemployed.
Ek is Leander Mouton, ek is 27 jaar oud en ek is werkloos.
My name is Rulani Shibambo. I'm 23 years old. I really wanted to be a chef.
Unemployment has been declared a national crisis. Half of the country's youth are unemployed, and everywhere you go, you find people desperate to get the income and dignity only work can bring.
I live with my grandmother and my uncle and my 4 siblings. So we live off my grandmother's social grant. There's times when I wake up and I would just feel like I don't have a purpose in life.
Ek het by my ouers groot geword en was bietjie moeilike omstandighede by my ouers met mishandelinge en finansiële probleme en goed. Toe ek op standaard 7 uit die skool uit op soek na werk. Toe ek gaan werk in Rustenburg vir 'n sealing company vir so 12 jaar. En ek het dit ook verloor. Het laat my minderwaardig voel eintlik.
In primary school, my dad lost his job. All of us were depending on him, and there was no more income. It was a hardship of my life because I was still young. I was a little boy.
Almost 8 million of the country's young people are not employed. Half have matric or less, leaving them most vulnerable when trying to enter the job market.
Every year, we've got about over 1 million young people who are entering the labor market. These are young people who have either completed matric or young people that have just fallen out of the education system. We know that this is a major crisis.
Lebunke leads partnerships and advocacy efforts at Harambee Youth Employment Accelerator.
Only 1/3 of them find their way into training, education, and employment. So the rest really are discouraged work seekers.
How bad is the situation?
I think our situation is pretty dire.
A decline in economic growth, a failing education system, and the onset of the 4th Industrial Revolution has left many with little hope of ever finding work, leaving them destitute and poverty-stricken.
Companies in the past that would have otherwise employed for certain tasks are now outsourcing those tasks either to other parts of the world. They're insourcing them through the technology. So they're looking at automation, robotics, and a whole host of things. The thing for young people and unemployed youth specifically is it's only going to get worse, not better.
Acknowledged as one of Africa's most influential venture capitalists, 34-year-old entrepreneur and rags-to-riches millionaire Vusitembe Kwayo.
I feel for the young person who wakes up every single morning and walks out into a dusty street and all they see is a sign on a street pole that says, "Vote for me."
In the morning while waking up, there's times when I just feel like, why did God have to give me these tough challenges, and why do I have to go through all of these things?
With no income and little prospect of finding a job, life has taken its toll on Herschel and her grandmother.
When I look at my grandmother and the situation she is in now and we are in now, it really breaks my heart.
Vir al die jare was ek nog nooit siek nie, maar nou begin ek.
I was in grade 11, then sadly my mother started going on drugs and she just started neglecting all of us.
En wat haar ma vir hier sit in vir my. Dis bietjie hektiek.
She lost her job and that's where everything just went bad. The responsibility of looking after my siblings are put on me. It's put on my shoulders. So now I have to work hard in order for me to change their lifestyle. If I would find a job now, it would mean everything to me. I feel like I would even burst out into tears.
Ek sal regtig dit waardeer as my kind 'n werk kry. Sy stuur haar CV's uit. Hulle vat dit maar net, maar hulle kom nie terug na haar toe nie.
Ek het nou ook 'n klein gesin. Daar was nie geld vir altyd vir doeke en melk en goedjies vir die kind nie en ook nie medisyne en goedjies nie. Ja, dis net moeilik. Die mense wil deesdae kwalifikasies sien. Hulle wil goed agter jou naam sien. Ek kan planne lees, alles en dan kom jy by ander mense aan en dan vra hulle vir 'n werk en as hulle eers sien jy het nie matriek en dan sal hulle by baie meeste van hulle stel nie eens belang nie.
You know, our young people may lack the qualifications, but there's a lot of human capital that sits in them. Maths is used as a filter to understand who a young person is, and I think a lot of people see it as a sign of intelligence. A lot of the young people that we deal with, unfortunately, haven't come from always great schooling.
In his SONA address on Thursday, President Ramaphosa announced that government would endeavour to create no fewer than 2 million jobs within the next decade. There are programs and some initiatives that have been run by government. You look at the YES program, for example. They've held various job summits. We're forever speaking about trying to help the youth. Is this the answer, really?
The scale of the problem requires effort much greater than what we're putting in. So you can go and put up some hubs that'll do something, you can drive some local economic activity that'll do phenomenal stuff, but it doesn't absorb everybody at the scale at which it should. The rate at which the problem accumulates is much higher than the rate at which we're creating solutions for that problem.
Walking around in the streets of Soweto, one cannot help but notice the many unemployed youth, a lot of them just loitering around. The question is there hope for them? Yes, says Gigi Alcock, entrepreneur and author of the book Gassinomic Revolution, but only if we embrace the informal sector as the new frontier of Africa.
We're not going to create 1 million jobs in the formal sector, but if we bring into the informal sector and we grow that little person who's selling in Tlogo, they hire 2 more staff to help. The hair salon starts another hair salon over there. You know, the Gassi mechanic builds up his thing so he can replace motors. Suddenly that is where you're going to be able to create more money and increase the employment.
With a burning ambition to be a chef and 3,000 rand in his pocket, Rulani turned to the informal sector to make a living.
I've got only a matric and a certificate, and it's not any use in my life, you know. So it's a matter of using your passion into business. So turning passion into a business, that's what's important. The intention was to study culinary arts, but now the fees were too high. I couldn't afford the school fees. I have to settle down to become a porter. I had to become brave, and then I resigned. I said, no, I can't be a porter. I've got so much potential.
But it is an uphill struggle for those striving to become entrepreneurs.
I buy stock, a few rations, a few cheese. I started selling. Business was not doing well. I lost the money. But now I wanted to change the game. So I had to come up with a name, Kota King. And then the business grew again.
It's very difficult to get finance if you're an informal or a Gassi entrepreneur, because the sense is that it's not a business. The problem with this informal sector is that people don't have any security of tenure.
At the banks, when you say you want a home loan to buy a house, they say no, you're selling quarters. I've been debating with the banks for the past 3 years, saying the business I'm doing, it's a cash business, it's too risky. I'm saying to you, like, this business, we're turning over at least about 2 million a year with this business at the moment, and still growing further. So we're asking the government to become lenient on that, to put measures on that, to say all businesses are the same, so that we can grow further.
Should the responsibility then be on government, or should there be initiatives within the townships that can then ideally generate, you know, that spirit of entrepreneurship?
Gassi people don't need help about starting businesses and Nupanda and trying something here and there. What they need is how to make that business more secure and how to grow that business.
I don't think we understand entrepreneurship in this country. South Africa's problem is that you've got a first world infrastructure that governs third world reality for many people. And on top of this, you've got social ills around drug use, teenage pregnancy, and a whole host of other things. You've got this energy that's sitting there with young people that's not being directed in the right direction. And it's becoming a problem for all of us. It's a ticking time bomb. People talk about it ticking, I think it's long ticked.